Well, welcome everybody. As you join us, you can see my screen over here. Before we get started, I'd just like to give us a sense of place. Where are we today? Here is a map of New York State. We'll take a moment. Let's see if you can find where you live or where you go to school. Where do you live on this map? And then I want you to take a look at that big yellow star right over Wyoming County. We are in beautiful Western New York today. Really excited for our virtual field trip. We're in Wyoming County in Gainesville. So try to think about how long would it take for you to get to Gainesville today? How many hours would it take? Would it be a really short drive or a really, really long drive? What kind of transportation might you have to take? Well, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to give a big welcome from New York Agriculture in the Classroom. My name is Katie Carpenter. I'm the director of our New York Agriculture in the Classroom program, and we are really excited to have you here today. We are going to be exploring potatoes and the harvesting of potatoes. It is harvest season for a lot of different crops and a lot of different foods. Things that we started planting back in the spring, and now they've reached full maturity and it's ready to harvest. So it's going to be a really exciting day where we get to see the tools that help make that happen, the people that help make that happen, and what the end product looks like for us. Just a few reminders. We are so happy to take your questions during the field trip today. So do not hesitate to use the Q&A box, not the chat box. Use the Q&A box if you have any questions, and we'll try to shout those out during the field trip today and try to get to as many questions as possible. With that, I want to welcome our special guest star today. So welcome, Mr. Chad Heeb with Marquart Farms and New York Chips. Can you give us a big hello from Gainesville today?
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Katie, and thank you for everybody for showing up and taking a look at our potato harvest in 2023. So as we go, guys, if you joined in the spring, you saw kind of the end result where we were taking them out of a storage, putting them in bags, going out to become potato chips. This is the beginning part. We're kind of going in reverse order. And to give you guys an understanding of what we do here at Marquart Farms, we're a diverse farm. We grow more than just potatoes. We farm just under 10,000 acres. Approximately 2,000 of those acres are potatoes, different varieties. Today, we're going to be looking at the variety Lady Liberty, kind of fitting for us here in New York State. And these potatoes are made for chipping. So they are made into potato chips. They were planted last spring. Typically takes about 90 days for them to come to maturity. After the 90 days, then we go into what's called their dormant phase, where they start to die off, the vines, and we'll show you a little bit of that in a minute. The vines either die or they're so healthy that they want to stay living, even though the potatoes aren't growing. Then they have to be killed off so they don't get too big, and then they're not really good for consumables. So we're going to take a look at that. Our harvest typically goes from the 1st of September all the way through, it could go as far as mid-November. It's really determined by the weather. We have had phenomenal harvest weather this year in Western New York. For those of you who are in this part of the state, we've been very dry. So you're going to see some dust clouds today, I'm sure. The growing season itself was pretty amazing as well. We had a more than average wet June, which made the potatoes instantly start their growing process. July was a little bit drier. So what that did was, the drier the July is, it makes the potatoes sink deeper into the ground to find moisture, which keeps them protected from anything outside, whether it's animals, someone walking on them, anything like that. When we hill them, we want them as deep as possible. And that dry July did that for us. And if you remember, we had a pretty cool August. That cool August put more gravity into the ground, which made these grow better. All those things led to what we call a bumper crop in 2023, meaning we have really, really good yields of our potatoes. going right into the harvest where we're actually having a phenomenal harvest season. Our approximately 2,000 acres of potatoes is the most we've ever grown. For those of you in the classroom, that should amount to about 70 million pounds of potatoes in storage. If you want something to kind of base that on, your basic baked potato on your plate at home is about a half a pound. So we're going to have about 140 million of those. This is one of the best crop seasons we've ever seen. When you're looking at it, guys, some of the things that we do with the crops. So this right here is the vine. This is what grows on top of the actual potato inside the ground. We want the tuber, the part that we eat, which is underneath the hill. You'll see on this variety, we call this a potato fruit. This is a sign of a very, very, very healthy potato season. It does not grow on all varieties of potatoes. Lady Liberty is one that it does. So we know when we go out in the fields and we see these, that we've had a really healthy crop, which is important. The health of the crop, like anything else, is determined by their growing season. As long as it becomes healthy, we know we're going to have a good year. Like I said, this is the best year I've seen. Looking around here, I can see potato fruit all over. First question I'm going to get, I know, is it edible? Technically, yes, you could eat the potato fruit. It doesn't taste like a potato and not typically something people go out of their way to eat. Underneath this hill, guys, this is where the tubers are. And we'll see some over here. We'll grab some after they get through. But if you get down in there and you dig up some of this, you'll start seeing potatoes come out of the ground. It's called a C or a D potato. The further you get down, the bigger the potato is. And each plant, so I can feel a bunch of plants down here and rocks, but each plant, see, they're getting bigger as I go down. Each plant will yield anywhere from 6 to 12 potatoes. So that's just a quick dig of, and like I said, the deeper you go, the bigger they'll get. We're going to leave these right here because those will actually get picked up in the harvester as we get ready to show that aspect of it. As you look around, guys, these are some of the equipment that we're using for harvest. Our harvesters are being ones. We have 2 of them going. We have 2 hillers as well. The hillers, what they're doing is they're getting all the potatoes in a row, getting them ready for the harvesters to go over and pick them up. The harvesters go about 3.8 miles per hour. Not very fast. You can walk faster than that right next to it, but you see how wide they are. This field that we're doing today is between 200 and 300 acres. This will be done approximately at 1 or 2 o'clock today. So we have a piece of machine. One of the hillers is coming behind us. And this is actually what's going to put the potatoes in the row ready for the harvester to go through. And you can see the pure size of this machinery. We have 2 of those going, 2 harvesters going. These are going to get those potatoes ready to be picked up as they start to move. You'll also see the dump truck. The dump trucks are there. As the harvesters go through, it'll actually fill the dump trucks up with the potatoes. And again, they'll be filled relatively quickly, and there's another one that'll come right behind it.
Chad, is this a specialized piece of equipment? Are there many of these? We don't normally see these going down the road.
Yeah, these are definitely specialized equipment. These are specifically made for potato harvests or hilling potatoes. These ones will only be used in areas where there is potato farming. Wyoming County being one of the bigger areas for potatoes in New York State, we've got a lot of this equipment in the area. But the size of this equipment is even special for our area. We're taking on as many as 10 rows at a time, where most of the time a harvester is only doing between 1 and 4 rows. you're starting to see now the harvesters going through, and you're going to actually see the front of the harvester picking up the hilled potatoes. As it's doing it, it's also picking up rocks. Rocks and potatoes get confused a lot by the machine, but once it's inside the machine, it's actually going to differentiate between the two, and it'll put the potatoes, as many as possible, in the truck, and it'll put the rocks in a separate compartment that they'll actually dump as they go. We do use the rocks as well. We're a zero waste facility, so our rocks that we take from the fields are actually used in our parking lots, and we have a crusher, so we'll crush them too.
Mrs. Roberson's class wants to know, why do the trucks move so slowly?
So the speed of the truck is 100%, so we're as efficient as possible. We want to pick up as many potatoes as we can so we can use those to go out and make chips with them. The faster you go, the less consistency you get on the harvester. So we have them rated in our fields where we live at 3.8 miles per hour. In some flatter, less rocky grounds, you can go faster, but here, that's the most efficient speed we have.
And the same class wants to know, how do the trucks know it's a rock and not a potato?
So what they do is they actually have sensors in them that measures the density of the object. So a rock is much more dense than a potato, and that sensor will feel that, and it'll know that it's too hard to be a potato, so I'm going to kick it into the rock bin.
Miss Redding's class wants to know, you mentioned that if you didn't get a lot of rain, how does the potato grow or thrive if there's not, if it's not being rain?
Not as much rain. Yeah, absolutely, which is a great question. So what makes our habitat or our environment special, especially for potatoes, is in western and central New York, we have a lot of peaks and valleys with our hills. You can see we're actually walking up a hill now. We're driving up a hill. Because of these peaks and valleys, the average temperature during our peak growing season, which is late July, early August, the difference in temperature between night and day averages 13 degrees. What that does for the moisture content is, and I'm sure everybody knows this, in the morning, there's always that dew or that moisture on the ground. That's what actually made these potatoes grow as healthy as they do. It's that change in temperature from night to day that puts that morning dew on the ground that the potatoes can then absorb through the soil.
And Miss Plitt's class wants to know, where do the potatoes go after they're in the machine?
So after they're in the machine, they go into one of our trucks. The truck is then taken to our storage facility about, from where we're at right now, it's about 5 miles away. It'll then get unloaded on a conveyor. At the conveyor, there are still some rocks that get through. You'll have people picking out those rocks. Then it goes into a storage unit in our storage building. That storage unit is climate controlled. It's kept between 41 and 47 degrees, and it'll be stored there until it goes out to become a potato chip, or it goes to a restaurant supply company to become your favorite French fries, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, things like that. Those storage units are actually heated in the wintertime by the potatoes. We try and utilize as much green energy as we can.
And Miss Stump's class wants to know, said they were looking at the apparatus on the front of the harvester that looks like it picks up the potatoes. Is that what's happening there? How is it picking up the potatoes?
Great question. So this is think of it as a bunch of chains or belts linked together. And as it goes into the ground, it digs its way because there's about a 2 to 3 inch gap in between each one. And that's actually digging into the ground. And as it does that, it lifts it up. All the potatoes that are over that size, and smaller ones as well, will get tumbled in there too. So it's actually digging into the ground with the gaps in the chain that's not pulled tight. But that also lets out all the smaller things that we don't want. So to be honest, when you're looking at this, guys, as we walk behind it and we're looking at it, there are potatoes on the ground. Most of them, though, are pretty small. They're ones maybe the size of a marble. And there's not really a use for those because potato chips aren't that small. So we'll find one. Yeah. So you're seeing some of them there. They're just smaller. That's all. So we don't want those in storage only because they're not going to be useful for potato chips. You'll even see they've made their first dump of the rocks. And again, the rocks that we're dumping are used.
So we have a classroom that's interested. What would the cost of one of these harvesters be? It's a huge piece of equipment.
So you guys are looking at $1 million piece of equipment. Brand new, our last one last year was about $1.3 million. It's an expensive farm operation to do potatoes. And it's one of those things where you're not making money in the immediate, it's over time. So sometimes we don't see a profit on our crop until we get into February and March.
We have a couple questions about the potato fruit. Did the potato fruit end up on the tractor or up on the harvester or in the truck? And somebody also wanted to know, aren't they toxic, the potato fruit?
No, the potato fruit is actually edible. Just doesn't taste good. They don't go in there.
Oh, looks like we are maybe got a little far away
Found
from,
was
oh,
yep.
there we go. Now we're back.
Okay. No, they're just too small to get picked up. They're not toxic at all, though.
And somebody wanted to know, they may have missed it. What was the time from planting to harvesting? How long is that period?
So typically it's 90 days. That's from planting to when they're actually fully developed and matured. The harvest itself, we usually wait another 2 to 3 weeks after maturity to start harvesting to let them sit and get what we call a skin. If you guys have ever picked up a potato, it's got an outer layer that feels kind of rough. That is actually no different than the inner part of the potato. It's just been exposed to non-growth, and we need that to keep it healthy as the year goes on.
So
You're
I
seeing
think,
now, guys, they're seeing the rock being dumped. That's a rock dump right there. There are some potatoes in there, but it's the way to get all those rocks off that machine. So we'll actually come back tomorrow or later this afternoon and pick all those up. They're readjusting the harvester for the truck. It's easier to adjust the harvester than it is the truck itself.
and what do you mean by that, Mr. Chad, that it's easier to readjust the harvester? Do you mean to move
Yeah.
that boom
So
in a different spot?
yes. So you'll see the chute coming off the harvester where the potatoes are going into the truck. It's just from above, the operator can see where the potatoes are in that truck, whether they're getting too high on one side and they might have a chance of coming out. So it's easier for him to actually adjust from his point of view than try and have the driver move who has no idea where the potatoes are in the back of the truck.
Miss Marston's class wants to know, how do the potatoes not get crushed when they all go into the truck?
The best thing that we do is if you're looking at it, guys, you can see the tires are actually in between two of the hills. If that tire wasn't in between the hills, you would have some potatoes getting crushed. And to be honest, there are some that do get it, but the majority of them get hilled before. So they're driving in those. These machines are 100% GPS driven. So they're actually mapped out on there in a map in the GPS that's telling the tractor, the harvester, how to drive, where to go. And the idea is to keep as many potatoes as possible going in without damaging them.
Wow, that's a lot of technology that's at work at this moment, a GPS telling the tractor where to drive because it's already mapped out this field. That's really amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece that where agriculture is now, where you've taken all the modern amenities and education and technology and incorporated them into a field that's as old as time. And what you got now is you have a marriage of technology and agriculture producing some of the greatest crops we've ever seen as a species.
And we need people in the future, to the students sitting right here in our classrooms who like technology, to think about how you can apply that to agriculture. There's jobs for everyone in agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of opportunities in agriculture that people don't always think of. And one of the main things is technology based. Like anything we've had over the years, these have changed as much as anything. And there's a lot of computers, there's a lot of programming, and there's a lot of forethought that goes into the next generation to make these better.
And even just looking at the field here, we're seeing a truckload of potatoes go by. But as we look down the field, it's not just about technology, but it's about people too. About how many people are working on your harvest team this season?
In total, on our harvest team, we'll typically have anywhere from 50 to 60 people. That's including drivers, operators, and then back at the storage, we have sorters and storers. So this is our busiest time of the year. We typically will take on an extra 20 to 30 people during the harvest. And some of them, quite a few of them actually, come up every year. A lot of them are people who actually work with the different crops and they rotate with them. So we have a gentleman who comes up from Georgia every single year, and he's been doing it for 50 years. He just says he enjoys seeing the different crops and how things have changed over the years.
And about how deep down does the harvester dig to dig up the potatoes?
Sure. So the hills themselves, if you count from the top of the hill down, you're looking at approximately 18 inches that it's going to go down.
And
It looks
Mrs.
like they're,
Bailey, oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead,
was
Chad.
just going to say, it looks like they're just trying to, yep, they're getting back on track. They got, one of the sensors was off a little bit. Oh, that's what it was. There was a big rock below it that threw a sensor off.
And then the harvester was recalibrating itself.
Yes, it stopped, and you saw him back up. He's got all sorts of, and we'll see when we go into the cab, there's all sorts of dials telling him what's going on. But that was definitely a miscalibration because of that rock was probably stopping or slowing that belt down to the point where the harvester didn't like it.
So we're getting a lot of questions about next steps. A lot of classrooms want to know, how do you sort them? I know we visited you in the spring, so we saw a lot of
Yeah,
that. So definitely go back to that virtual field trip too if you want to see a little more in depth and detail. But could you give us just the idea, Mr. Chad, about how you sort when you get back to your sorting facility?
absolutely. So the first thing they do, believe it or not, is they come off these trucks and they go right back into another machine. That machine is doing very similar things to this machine when you come to the dividing of the debris, the rocks that make it through, and the potatoes. So we'll have another dump truck going by it that it'll fill up with nothing but vines and roots and things like that just to get rid of it. Then we'll have another truck that's being filled up with rocks. After that is when you get to the people portion of it. The, go up? The people portion will be the ones who are taking all that stuff out by hand that the machine has not gotten. They're doing it on conveyors that goes into a storage bin. And some of them go over sizers as well. The sizer itself is for the bigger potatoes that we're going to put in bags depending on the variety of the potato that we're actually digging at that time. Right now, we're going to get lucky because we're going to have Aaron Marquart, one of the owners, is going to show the inside of the harvester for all the students and give you guys a little trip in the harvester so you guys can see exactly what it's like being on the inside view. So for everybody, this is Mr. Aaron. He's going to be the one talking here for a little bit.
Hi,
Hello,
Mr.
everyone.
Aaron. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm so great. I am Miss Katie with Ag in the Classroom, and we have a lot of students online with lots of awesome questions. So thanks so
All
much
right.
for letting us be on your farm today.
Yep, not a problem. Not a problem. If there's any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer.
We will. If you
Uh,
could just walk us through what we're looking at and seeing, I know the
so,
students are super
yep, so
excited.
it's a actually it's a quite a simple machine. It's probably more intimidating looking than anything, but it's basically just it's 12 conveyor chains. If you look down where all the potatoes are, these two chains here are actually the only two that are digging in the ground. Right directly below us. Everything past that, all these chains are all connected. So one is feeding the other, and so on and so forth. There's a set of rollers that take some small dirt out, and basically at the end of the day, all we're doing is sorting everything through the chains, but also through this big air chamber right here to my left. So after all the chains have sorted out 80% of the dirt and the small stones, the remaining of it will flow up through the bottom of this air chamber. And there's a big fan, which you probably heard when we were harvesting. That's just creating one big vacuum inside this whole block right here. So as all the potatoes and stones go pass through it, a potato is obviously lighter than a stone. So the suction just sucks the potato up and actually puts it on this other upper elevator, which then proceeds to go along through around the back into the boom and into the truck. So then opposite, anything heavier that will not get sucked up from the suction flows straight through the machine and comes out right in the front, which at the end of the day, if you look right behind you here, all the stones and anything heavier, there's a few potatoes that will pass through, but not maybe 2% of what we're actually digging, if that. And then at the end, so it all goes in one big stone box there. And when we're done harvesting, we have another machine that comes up and just picks the individual stone piles up when we're all done. So it's I mean, pretty much the main part of this machine is this air chamber that's creating a suction just to separate the potatoes and the stones. And other than that, it's actually can kind of be relaxing in here, but so
We have a few questions about what powers these machines. Is it gasoline?
it's a diesel motor. It's a Cummins motor. It's 650 horse Cummins motor.
And
Yep.
Miss Platt's class wants to know, do you enjoy your job?
Oh, I love it. We grew up doing this. To be perfectly honest, I don't know if we weren't doing this, I don't know what I would do. So, but yeah, I definitely love it. So
And Miss Stump's class wants to know, is this harvester going to be used to harvest other crops, or is it only for potatoes?
it's only for potatoes. It probably could do some other crops, but we would have to change chains. You know, some of these chains wouldn't work for carrots and all that. So I mean, it probably could be used for certain things, but it's made for potatoes. So
And our classrooms were wondering, can we see inside the cab where
yeah,
you're
oh,
driving
absolutely.
this big
Yep,
piece of equipment?
yep, yep, yep. If you want, I don't know if you want to sit right down. You can sit in the seat. It's hard to get right in there if you want. Oh, yep, yep. Come on in. So basically everything is all on the electronic boards. Gets kind of dusty in here, but any function that runs the whole machine is basically within my fingertips. So I have some speed controls and main power controls here. The joystick, which is kind of hard to see, is there's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 8 controls, individual controls on my joystick that control the main operating, and then I have cameras because it's hard to see. Obviously, I can see right in front of me, but behind me and on certain parts underneath and everything, it's hard to see. If you get a stone caught or you have a problem with the chain or whatever, it's hard to see it right as soon as you want to. It doesn't take long to get a big pile of potatoes, and with a chain not moving, it could be a problem. So there's reversers on the chains also. So if something gets stuck, I can reverse them, which that's all on my foot pedal. So yeah, you actually use your right and left foot. So the truck to set the truck where I need him to be to load him, there's diagonals on the front of the harvester. I don't know if you can see how there's back and forward and right and left. And so I use that to maneuver the truck so I can keep an even load on it. And then on my right foot, I can use reversers and my rear steer for the harvester. So you're kind of always, you're doing something with your feet or your hands somewhere all day, basically. So then we also have the CB, so you can hear everybody crack their jokes. So I probably should turn that off right now. But yeah, so I mean, if there's any questions, I mean, we can dig a little bit if you want. You can kind of see what it kind of looks like. I don't think your door is closed all the way. Might have to slam it hard. Oh, little knack to it, but yeah. So like I said, if there's questions, just fire away.
Awesome. Miss
so,
Roberson's class wants to know, how did you learn to run this harvester?
Honestly, it was just a lot of sitting in this cab. I mean, I think we bought this. Our other harvester we bought in 2008, and I was the one that initially started running that. So, and this one's very similar to it. But it took, I don't know, a couple of years before I actually really got comfortable with all the controls. I mean, honestly, it's not very complicated. It's just you're trying to do so much all at once. If you want to make a slight adjustment while also watching next to you on the truck to make sure the truck doesn't run into your boom. If you have a chain stop off to the left, you have to always be ready to make that slight adjustment or stop. That was the hardest thing to learn how to run. Once you get used to running them, it's actually quite simple. So, and one thing about potatoes, you always have to watch on our boom. So I can pick my boom up and down, and I can go left and right. We always try to keep the drop. You can't drop potatoes you start dropping them 4, 5, 6 inches, you actually have a real chance of bruising them. So it's very, very important when we're harvesting to drop them as low as possible. So we're not, because sometimes there will be a few stones that get into the truck off this airhead. So we try to be as gentle as possible with them. So everything that we're doing, even the chain speeds throughout the machine, if I start harvesting faster, I might speed the chains up a little bit just to follow my ground speed, and vice versa. If I slow down, I have to slow the chains down with me. So it's kind of a constant thing. So now, like right now, the truck is getting too far to the right. So I can point my arrow to the left, and you'll watch him. He'll come back over a little bit, and he'll straighten up. And so it's just one of those things, just years of running it. It's kind of like riding a bike, I guess they say. But so.
And we had a classroom that wanted to know, when that truck is full of potatoes, what happens? The truck that's riding along.
So we have, I don't know if you guys went to our storage. You did. So this truck, once I load them, when I get load them here, I'll show you. I just flash 2 lights on that diagonal on the front, he'll know he's loaded. So I don't have to hand signal him or get his attention or anything. He just knows he's loaded from the 2 lights that I'm going to show him. So like right now I'm telling him, so the back of the truck's loaded, so I'm going to tell him to back up, and I'm just going to keep loading little by little here, and then once he's loaded, all he has to do is watch the arrows. That's all he has to do. And
that constant communication is pretty important.
oh, it's very important, especially for if we start, especially if it starts getting darker out and it's very important, because it can be pretty dangerous if he gets too close to me, or if I'm trying to chase him around the field, so. And one problem we'll have, and I can probably blame myself, I planted it. There's some bigger stones like the one you see rolling there. I'm going to have to probably stop and get out. We try to do a pretty good job when we're harvesting or when we're planting to get the bigger stones, but sometimes it's hard to get every one of them. But I'll stop and get them out if you want to show them the back of the machine where everything loads, and I'll go grab them.
So this is where we're following where the potatoes are moving over to the arm, which go into the truck.
Oh,
We can see Mr. Aaron get rid of that really big rock. Miss Marston's class wants to know, do you ever get a break, or are you doing this all day?
So basically, the weather has been, I don't know how the weather is where you guys are, but the past, I'd say 3 weeks, I don't think we have had no rain. And that's one thing with potato harvest. If it starts really raining, I think your door's open again a little bit. I'll grab that. So with that, right now we're working 7 days a week and probably 16-hour days. Gets tiring after a while, but we're getting a lot done where we would actually probably another week we'll be done. So it's we've dug on wetter seasons where we don't go as fast and can't dig every day. I remember digging before close to Thanksgiving, towards the end of November. So we're actually potentially we could be done here by October 10th, October 15th. So I mean it's long hours, but at the end of the day, I just know how it could turn if it gets cold and wet, that I don't mind working a few extra hours when it's nice out, to not have to do that.
So we are getting about to the end of our time of this really exciting opportunity to see how these potato harvesters work and to understand potato harvest. One of the big questions that keep coming up over and over with our classrooms is, can you talk about the safety mechanisms on this machine? People are asking, like, if somebody walks in front of it, will the harvester stop? How do you ensure your safety? We know how important it was to hear you make sure the door is closed. So can you talk a little bit about your safety and how you keep others safe?
The thing about this machine, and it's probably, I'm not going to say it's out of date. There is safety mechanisms. Like if a chain is running and I get out of the seat, it's going to shut off, right? So if I mistakenly just jump out for something and I slip, and so there is that safety measure where everything will shut off. There's sensors that we're going to put on to actually beeping sensors. So right now, basically, it's my eye watching everything around me. And again, that's why we have so many cameras. Actually, these cameras are all touchscreen. So there's actually one of them stopped working. So there's 12 cameras. So a lot of the stuff is basically has to go through me right now. We're trying to become getting more sensors on to alleviate some of the pressure of that, I guess. But pretty generally, we try to do as best we can with those situations. I mean, it's very important. So I'm always aware, and even long days, you have to just always just really be concentrated on what you're doing. It's it's very important. So I know it's one thing that we're always watching for and paying attention to. So
Well, Mr. Aaron, I cannot thank you enough for letting us ride along with you in the cab, allowing us on your farm.
oh, it's been a pleasure.
It
Been a
has
pleasure.
been so interesting to watch this entire process, and special thanks to Mr. Chad also, who helped
Yep.
us look at the storage and look at the field. It's been really exciting to get to know more
Yep.
about New York Spuds and spend time with you.
Yep. So now the truck is full. I'll give him the 2 lights and there he goes. He didn't have to look at me and now as another truck is pulling onto the boom and I can keep harvesting. I have a secondary pot that I can continue harvesting. And he must have had some potatoes on from his last field. But yeah, so that's pretty much what it is.
Very neat. Well, that is a perfect way to end our time together. We
Yep.
appreciate you so much. We encourage you all to watch the potato storage facility virtual field trip on our YouTube channel. And thank you for being with us. And thank you again to the Marquarts for your generosity of time at such a busy time of your year.
Yep. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.